In this video, I'll give you the players who will bounce back from a rough 2023 with a strong 2024 in fantasy redraft leagues. I'm Jim Coventry of Rotowire. Let's start out with Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, Joe Burrow was injured last year, had a preseason calf injury. Season did not start out well. Obviously, Burrow hurt his thumb, end of the season, done as well. 10 games played, some games ineffective, lost season. Could not have gone worse for Joe Burrow. 15 touchdowns, 6 picks. Not a great season, but Joe Burrow played 16 games in 2022, 16 games in 2021. For the most part, he's been durable. And that said, we're not quite sure what Jamar Chase's, as of this recording, his contract status is. We expect he'll be on the field. T. Higgins seems to be committed to playing on the last year of his deal. All that said, the Bengals lose right tackle Jonah Williams in the offseason, but they made a significant upgrade in Trent Brown. The interior line is still an issue, but the Bengals run a lot of spread out 3 receiver sets. Burrow will often go in the shotgun, and Burrow gets time to diagnose, and his receivers are better than guys who are covering them. So Burrow should continue to be in great shape. Being undersold in fantasy leagues, often his quarterback 8 or 9 off the board, depending on the league. Burrow is typically good for 34 to 35 touchdown passes. He also can run a bit. It's not like he always runs, but he ran for 257 yards and 5 touchdowns in 2022, and that's not a bad baseline. When you add that to a 4,400, 4,600 yard passing season that he's had in the past, those stack up to be really, really strong numbers. Also, Bengals defense, they really declined last year. Paying up superstars ends up with a price. That's been the defense. And Lou Anarumo is an excellent coach, but Anarumo, when you don't have talent to work with, which he's lost a lot of it, and they lost DJ Reader in addition to others as your great run stopper and interior pass pressure artist, it's a problem. So Burrow's going to have to throw a lot. This looks like a good season. Chase Brown as a receiver out of the backfield could help. Mike Gesicki could be a bump at tight end if he gets back on the track he was 3 years ago. So there's a lot of optimism here for Joe Burrow. Running back, let's think about Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts. Last year at this time, Taylor was going on the PUP list. We didn't know if it was contract related, if it was really his ankle. Well, missed the first 4 games. Taylor only played 40 snaps in 5 games. He didn't play 50 snaps in a single game. So just didn't work out. Overall, broken tackle rate, 71st percentile. Yards after contact, 84th percentile. Solid enough numbers. Yes, Taylor had a career low yards per carry, but was he ever right? And that's the big question. Well, an offseason of health. I think it's a big deal that Anthony Richardson is his quarterback. I talk about this all the time. You get that RPO quarterback that has lethal running ability. Linebackers have to play tentative. They don't know if the pass is coming. They don't know if the quarterback's running. They don't know if the running back's running. And that nanosecond of hesitation from the linebackers is an eternity for a running back, and especially a high-level running back like Jonathan Taylor. Yes, Richardson's going to run for his. Don't think that Jonathan Taylor can't blow away his career numbers on a per touch basis. As to how many touches he gets, yes, there's a question. And of course, there's an injury history. Now, he did get an injury late last season, but when we look at the ankle injury he suffered in 2022, that cost him parts of both seasons. So there is an injury history, and running backs do get hurt. But for the most part, I think we can't take that ankle injury that cost parts of 2 seasons and really call that 2 seasons of lost overall work. The late season injury, again, it is what it is. It's a hand, no problem. It is what it is. Not likely to happen. It could. So Taylor with a good offensive line, and that line is well above average in run blocking. This is a good spot for Taylor to bounce back. If you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the Rotowire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, you can check out all of our fantasy football content and rankings by getting a free 2-day trial with no credit card needed. Just head on over to rotowire.com/Jim. You can check out all of our content. All right, wide receiver bounce back. It's got to be Garrett Wilson of the New York Jets. Garrett Wilson has had some of the worst quarterback play you'll see the last 2 seasons with the New York Jets. Now, Wilson was getting an average of 158 targets. Now, last year, he caught 56.5% of his targets. It was terrible. But if the passes are behind you, over your head, just deemed uncatchable altogether, you're not going to have a high catch rate. And the other problem is we know that Garrett Wilson can get big yardage after the catch, but it wasn't great last year. Well, again, the problem. If the passes are behind you, you're not led into traffic. Defense is the only receiving weapon they had to worry about was Wilson. So you were easily able to put an extra body over the top on Wilson. So Wilson didn't have it going on. Well, what'll be different this year? We don't know what Aaron Rodgers will look like. coming back at 40, missed all the season but 3 snaps last year with an Achilles. Not sure how he'll be. Aging could have happened. But we expect Aaron Rodgers to be obviously way better than what Garrett Wilson had last year. And if Rodgers were to miss more time, look, I'm not saying that Tyrod Taylor is Superman, and I'm not saying he's a great quarterback, but he's better than Zach Wilson and company. And that may be enough for Garrett Wilson. Remember, the offensive line got upgraded. 4 additions to the offensive line. The tackle position was addressed with a couple of starters and a drafted swing tackle. It's going to be a good opportunity for this offense to get rolling. And Garrett Wilson also had 36% of his targets in the slot, and we're learning now. It used to be back in the day, the X receiver was the one that ate and put up the biggest numbers. Now it's the versatile receivers. You can play the X, you can play the Z, you can play inside, you play all over the place. Well, Garrett Wilson's that guy. And the fact Mike Williams is in a free agency, we're not sure quite what his status is. He is cleared from the knee, but he does open up the field with a downfield presence. Not fast, but he's definitely a downfield guy. And again, clears more space for Garrett Wilson. And obviously he's a first-round pick, so it's not like I'm coming up with this great revelation. So I get that. But don't worry about spending that first-round pick on Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is a superstar. He was a legitimate top 10 NFL pick, and you're going to see what that's all about this year. Tight end, Mark Andrews, Baltimore Ravens. Now, Mark Andrews last year, he missed week 1, and you could tell he wasn't quite right in weeks 2 and 3. He was working his way back from injury. Numbers were down. From weeks 3 through 10, Mark Andrews, the same guy we've seen in prior seasons. 900-yard pace in those games. Week 11, he got injured. The hip drop tackle put him out for the regular season. 7 snaps in that game. Can't put that number into the equation. Didn't play. So that said, Andrews was back for the AFC Championship game, so you know he'll be healthy this year. And realistically, the offense got much better from week 12 on. It was like Lamar Jackson started to really get what Todd Monken was teaching, because it takes time to learn an offense. It doesn't automatically happen overnight. And the good coaches like Monken, they add things in as time goes on. And in the offseason they had him. Well, Andrews wasn't around for that, but Andrews will be back. And Andrews is a very reliable downfield seam stretcher and has a great rapport with Lamar Jackson. And I think people are really sleeping on Mark Andrews. In many drafts, he's a tight end 5 off the board. Andrews is only one of 5 tight ends in the last 5 years to have 1,000 yards. He had 1,300. Now he's not hitting 1,300 again, but he is a tight end capable of 1,000 yards, and it wouldn't be a stretch for him to do that. Definitely a strong presence in the red zone. I have Mark Andrews as my tight end too, and I have no qualms about putting him there.